You're listening to The Bo's Nose, a podcast about QI Roberts Junior Senior High School in Putnam County, Florida. And I'm your host, Mr. Bose, and today in studio I have our academic team to tell us all about the academic team, tell us about how their regular season went, and give us a preview of the upcoming competition. So introduce yourselves to our listeners.
James, you go first.
Okay. Hello, I'm James Hinch. I've been on the academic team for, I think, 3 years now. And, yeah, it's nice to be here.
Hello, I'm Gavin Miles. This is my second year on the academic team.
I'm Audrey Redmond. This is my third year on the academic team.
This is Leah Zabad. This is also my second year on the team.
And I'm Mrs. Bose. I'm just the coach.
Alrighty, so first question on the podcast is always, what is your favorite QI story or tradition?
I think my favorite tradition would be our pep rallies. I say objectively we have pretty nice ones. And so I always like participating in the games and stuff.
Recently, whenever Miss Williams decides randomly to do the announcements and we get some strange music going on, and I love her announcements.
After every haiku game, we seem to always go to Zaxby's, and I think that's a really good dinner after a haiku game.
I'm going to build a bit off of James. We're seniors this year, so we get to do the cool tradition of running in with the flag and doing like a lap around the gym, and I like that.
Is it story or tradition?
Indeed.
This will lead us into a discussion of haiku, but at one of our more recent matches, there were at least, I think I counted like 16 questions only about the state of Oklahoma.
Oh my god. That was terrible.
It was like, and it happened like, 3 questions, and we were like, haha, how weird. And then it was like, we were on the 10th question about Oklahoma, and we were all just like, it was like we were crying, but I don't know if we were laughing or we were just really sad because a bunch of kids from rural Florida don't know a lot about Oklahoma. That's a good recent story.
Reasonable. So, next question is, if you could time travel, when would you go and why?
Personally, I think this is probably going to be popular, and so I think I'd go and visit the time period of Alexander the Great, simply because I want to see just how great he was in person.
Careful what they say about
you might be kind of you might be kind of underwhelmed. He was small.
I don't know. Maybe the beginning of this year, because I would definitely do better on the calculus test if I got another try. I'm holding on by a thread. But give me another go.
I'm not really sure when I'd go either. Probably into the future. Just, I don't know how far, but just to see how things are.
See how we turn out all right. I'd go back to whenever the Iliad and the Odyssey were talked about so I could figure out who Homer actually was.
Oh, like how it started. That's a good one. These are very good classical studies themed. This isn't so much as an answer as a comment, but I love when kids answer this question. They're like, I'd go back to the 90s, as if it was a long time ago, because I always perpetually think the year is like 1999. So I'm always shocked when they're like, oh, I'd go back to the 90s.
Gonna party like it's 1999.
Today in class I said, recently in the 1970s. And then I was like, that's all.
Alrighty, last question before we get into talking about the academic team. Quality, integrity, respect. Which one and why?
I think integrity is nice to have because, if you don't have integrity, how can you be respected or have good quality? Because, integrity is something that everybody needs to have to be believed and respected.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say quality because, I've been on this podcast twice. First time I said integrity, the next time I said respect. But I think quality is also important. It can sound hollow or conceited, but it's not because, just holding yourself to the highest standard possible, I think that's something us QI Roberts students pride ourselves on.
I think respect is definitely one of the most important things a person can have. And I think you need to have respect to have quality and integrity in other things. Both respect for yourself and respect for the people and things around you.
I've been on this podcast before, but I do not remember what I said the last time, so I'm just going to say respect, like, kind of same reason like Audrey's listed. Like, I feel like that also builds into, like, the other two mentioned characteristics, and also, like, I feel personally respect can get you very far.
Integrity, as always. The alignment of your words, actions, and values are integral to success in a variety of fields and contexts.
Very good. So let's dive in and talk about the academic team. So first off, why don't one or a couple of you tell us what the academic team is?
So we study a lot of different subjects. We now have a class this year. It's a new thing. It's called Humanities 1 to 1,500, I think, or just 1,000. I don't remember. But basically, we try to cover as many topics as we can. We're not like just the high Q class, because high Q is what we call like our kind of fall season, where we'll get into that probably later. And then later on in the end of the year, we're going to do a thing called the Commissioner's Academic Challenge up in Orlando. We also do like little tinier competitions in between, like the National Mythology exam and
Got the classic etymology exam.
Yeah.
we got
Wednesday.
etymology exam Wednesday. Yeah.
And also another one is in January, we're doing the Academic World Quest at the University of North Florida. We did that last year, and it was our first time ever, as far as I know. And we got like 5th place out of all those different teams. So that was awesome. And I think we're definitely going to place in the top 3 this year. That's another thing we do. Also, I think maybe perchance some bowls and bees or something. I don't know. Maybe the second semester. But yeah, some other things the second semester.
That sums it up, I guess.
Alrighty, so you mentioned high Q being the fall season. So tell us a little bit about what is high Q?
High Q is like Team Jeopardy, you could say. We're in teams of. Our team is much larger, but at any given time, you're playing 4 people on it. You're all sitting at a table, and each have a buzzer, and there's like an announcer who asks you questions and stuff, and you buzz in to answer the question. Buzzing in questions are worth 5 points. Bonus questions are worth 10, and we play against different schools from across Florida, North Florida.
Yeah, it's by school. So like each school, hopefully, some people don't meet up to the standard, have a high Q team, and then you get divided into divisions based on like where you are and like kind of how your county is, and then like you win in that division, and then your placement in the division judges how you're gonna be in the final conference that we do.
Yeah, so as we've said, it's academic kind of trivia, but you see all kinds of different questions, really. I mean, you see anything from like popular culture, like some random question about a singer or something. And then you see a lot, I mean, there's biology, you've got, all different kinds of sciences. And I think definitely a lot of history, geography, some of those things can be helpful. So, all different realms of academia. So whatever it is that you're interested in.
Facts on Oklahoma.
Facts on Oklahoma as well. The many different cities questions on. So, yeah, definitely a ton of different academia and different interests that are expressed in questions in Haiku.
But as far as the regular season, our varsity right now, they're tied for first with Columbia High School, who they're very, very good. They're our friends. They're the state champions.
So hang on, listeners, I just want to underline that point. We are currently tied for first place with the reigning state champions.
And then also with Baker County, who's also very, very, very talented. They're both really well coached. And we enjoy competing with them. But we all lost, we lost to Baker, and then Columbia lost to us, and then Columbia lost to Baker. And this happens all the time where we're all
in a 3-way tie.
Going into the tournament, which is in December, we're always tied with each other. But I'm hoping we have a very good varsity team this year. So I'm really optimistic that we can hopefully get first. We've never gotten first before. We've gotten second a lot and third, but I'd really like first. JV, they did win a match, and they're growing. But it's worth observing with JV, and we should have them come on this sometime. Mm-hmm. They're all in 7th and 8th grade, and they're playing 10th graders, so it takes a lot of courage.
I know, that's one thing I want to say. Our JV, they're all new to this, and we have 7th and 8th graders on our JV, and we don't have a huge JV team. Earlier in this year, it was just the 4 of them, so they had to play every single round. They couldn't be swapped out, and they're playing against these 9th and 10th graders, these high schoolers. I think by the time that they themselves are 9th and 10th graders, we're going to have like one of the strongest JV teams in the state of Florida.
Absolutely. It takes a while to build up a program, but the sooner we can start, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So you've got your competition coming up in December. If listeners, depending on when this podcast is coming out, the results may be in the description of this podcast, depending on when this airs. So we talked about academic team and high Q, and actually, let's talk a little bit about the Commissioner's Academic Challenge. Let's talk about what the spring is.
So basically, the Commissioner's Academic Challenge is a countywide high Q team in which anybody can really try out. And we have tryouts just like any normal sports team would. And we then, our coach, the lovely Mrs. Bose, picks the people based off of the tests, because we pretty much do tests to try out. And she picks the strongest members to build the strongest team, in which we then take a lovely drive down to Orlando. And we compete against other county teams from all over Florida. We are divided into, I think, 3rd division, which is and the reason the divisions are divided like that is because some schools have a way higher amount of students and way bigger budgets, so it can be implied that they arguably might have better academics comparatively. Because arguably. So they're divided into like classes of like.
Mm-hmm.
So in our last CAC last year, I want to point out that we started off good last year. We didn't make it to the finals. We did a lot of preparation, but one of the last year, somehow, I don't know who had it first, but we all ended up getting the flu, and we all ended up.
It wasn't all of us.
It was like
just two people.
It was just 2.
No, it was 3.
I
It was the 3 of us because we were all in the same
I feel
car.
attacked.
Oh, yeah. It was not me. I put you guys together in the loud car.
So we took 2 cars basically. It was from one car had Miss Bose, one had Mr. Bose, the host of this podcast, and it was
Some of them rode in the fun V.
It was originally the quiet bus and the loud bus, and then it turned into the quiet bus and the sick people.
The quarantine bus.
The quarantine
All I know
bus.
is I had the flu, and oh my goodness, that was crazy trying to play through the flu. I was taking BC powders.
Now you know
I was
how I
just trying to
felt.
stay
Now
alive.
you know how I felt in that first match.
Who knows?
We won't get sick this year.
Maybe we would have made it to finals if
Don't
we
jinx
didn't
it.
all have.
I'm not knock on wood. This isn't wood. We're not getting sick this year.
Alrighty then. All right. Why don't we talk about why let's talk about why the 4 of you chose to join academic team.
I guess I'll go first because that's basically the rotation here.
Also share, like, what's your specialty?
Okay.
Okay.
I chose to join because I have been told many times I am full of borderline useless knowledge and just random facts. And so I was sitting in class one day, and some fellow team members at the time, they were like, "Hey, James, you should join this team because you're full of useless information." So I found a use for my useless information, and my specialty arguably would be like some science and STEM stuff, mostly biology and paleontology and stuff like that.
Okay. The reason I joined, well, for many years, my teachers or whatnot encouraged me, but I was a little bit scared because I always thought that the people on our academic team, I thought they were so smart. I didn't think I could be on the academic team, but one day, Miss Buzz, I'm calling you up because one day I got called out of Mr. Colonelski's math class, and I was ambushed in Miss Hodges' office. You and Miss Hodges, it, I guess, encouraged me to join. I did join, because I remember I said, like, well, I don't know, I mostly just do history and geography, and you were like, we need that. So I joined, and that is what I do, I suppose. I like history and geography. So
How many regrets do you have?
none. I love the academic team.
So in my 9th grade year, I was in Colonel Ski's class, and at some point, I guess Miss Bose had handed out flyers to a bunch of teachers and said, if you have any smart kids, give them these flyers for the CAC and see if they want to join. And so I got the flyer and I joined.
Oh, and this is good because like the tryouts, I was trying to make them like accessible to more kids, and so I had arranged for like a room at Palaca High School for the tryouts, and I get there and the Palaca High School's blocked, and so it's just me, Audrey, and her dad, and like
It was
two Gavin, old Gavin, not this Gavin, old Gavin, and like Sophia Jolly. And Abby, none of it, and it was just like the four of us. And then eventually, Mr. Thiebold came in and like led us into a room where we almost took the test, but no one showed up. So I was like, "Good job, you're all on." But yeah, it's good times.
So I don't remember if someone told me about it before. I actually did get the same flyer for the CAC. I just didn't. I forgot what day it was, and I didn't show up. And it's funny because when you were leaving, you're like, "You could join, you know," and I'm like, "It's fine. I have tests. It's okay." But it was some day last year, and Miss Thornton, our old vice principal, I was just walking out of class. I think I went to the bathroom, and I was leaving class, and she saw me, and she was like, "Come with me," and she took me to Miss Bose's room, and she was like, "Leia's gonna join your haiku team now." And Miss Bose was like, "Okay," and that's how I joined. My specialty is like math, I guess. Shakespeare. I won the Shakespeare thing.
That's true. Also, like English. I don't like. You did really good on the English part of that test.
Oh yeah.
So you got a nice blend here. You have like biology, James, and history and geography with Gavin, math with Audrey, and then like math, science, but also Shakespeare with Leia.
I'm weird.
The all-star.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that better. I'm the all-star.
Alrighty. So what is your... We kind of talked... we've been sharing stories this whole time, but what's your favorite part about being on the academic haiku team here at QI Roberts?
I would say my favorite part, at least, is the fact that I get to use the quote-unquote useless knowledge, because I like, anybody who's good at any sort of activity like this could say that if they're good at it and they succeed well, it gives them a source of confidence, and it does, give you confidence, and I like that, and I like to, show what I got.
Well, this is our first year as being a class rather than we are a club as well, I guess, in a way, but we're a class, not a club, and I like that actually because it's really fun being in the class, and we do all sorts of amazing things when we're not, having a game. We do buzzer trivia practice. That's super fun. Mm-hmm. We've been studying for the etymology exam, so doing Latin and Greek, such a variety of things, but it's such a chill environment. And I love the community. I love everyone in our class, and it feels like everyone's friends with everyone.
Something I really like about this class is just because the questions are so broad, there's sometimes some really funny ones. Or, like, you just realize you know a lot more than you thought you knew. I couldn't tell you how many questions I know just from, like, watching Hamilton. Like,
or you just get it out of sheer dumb luck when we just have a question and you yell 25 and that's the answer.
Or like, remember the question? It was like, which city was made out of the towns of Buda and Pest? And I don't even think they answered it right. They were like, it can't be Budapest. It can't be, but it was.
My favorite thing, I think, would also be the community. Like, some of my bestest friends, I would say now, I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for this club. And it's just, like, a really fun environment. And it's very cool to be able to, like, do stuff after school. Like, I didn't have any extracurriculars before this. I mainly just academics. I mean, this is kind of academics, but it's also cool to go on a bus every now and then and go to some other school.
Yeah, the travel is always good fodder for stories. No, the thing I like about academic team, it's called like Quiz Bowl energy, and like you think that like academic team would be for like people who have decided they have learned everything, but Quiz Bowl energy is really like embracing the fact that you actually don't know anything, and that there is always more to learn and more questions to miss. So I really like that. It's the idea that you take a bunch of kids that are pretty smart, but you make them really embrace the fact that they are never done.
That was philosophical.
I am so
that was
so deep.
Yeah, that's
That's
so
true.
deep.
I mean, I was sitting at the CIC making notes so I could look up all the answers later because I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
They had physics questions. Those were horrible.
Oh.
Or that one lab.
The
The
lab.
lab.
The pH lab, yeah.
Did they ever bring it? And they were like, do it in 1 minute.
We didn't know what to do. We just so the CAC. It's
Everyone-
Were you guys
interesting.
there
It's
when
very
they got
different.
a flower, or did we watch?
No, you
the
told us
flower?
about that.
One year they just gave them a flower and were like, name the parts of this. And the kids were like, why do we have a flower?
It wasn't even like just us. It was just every group just sitting there like,
Staring.
what
at
do we
it.
do with this?
Yeah, I think it was litmus test, right? And everybody just stared at.
Yeah, no, it was so weird. They just like we were like, okay, this is going good, and they just pulled out like a bunch of beakers and bottles of things. They were like, you're gonna do a pH test. I was like, I didn't know how to do this.
I don't even think they told you it was pH test. They
No,
just
they were
gave
like,
you the
they were
stuff.
like, here.
They were
here
told
it
like
is.
we were told to like get some reaction. I think.
It was like make the paper blue or
Yeah,
something.
or something like that. Did they have another weird thing at CAC? Oh, we had a skeleton.
Cletus.
Cletus.
Oh, yeah.
Our wonderful mascot.
We have a mascot, guys. It's a skeleton called Cletus, and Miss Bose could tell you about that. The story
really-
behind that.
I mean, it's just based on Alexander the Great's friend that he stabbed.
Cletus the Black never forgets.
Always remember.
we just walked around with a skeleton on our shoulders.
Oh, man.
Alrighty. So last couple questions before I let you return to your lunch is kind of a twofold question. Why should other students want to join the academic team? And who should they contact for more information?
Do you want all of us to answer?
That is up to the four of you.
Go.
Okay. So I guess if you want to join the academic team, you should contact Miss Bose at, I don't know, her email.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to do it is to really, at this point, just sign up for humanities later in the...
Yeah, it's
when
an
you- when you
elective now.
pick
We can
your
just put
thing,
it
because
on
I'm really pulling things from that.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess the reason if you want to reason you might want to join is if you like to learn, because not only do you you should know a decent amount to be on the teams, but you also have to be open to learning more and and absorbing all this random knowledge that you can then later reuse in a different context throughout the rest of the team seasons.
I think you should join because it's not scary, and I was scared of it, and I thought it was scary. But then you get into it, and it's not all that terrifying. I mean, I know being
And now Gavin's not afraid of anything.
But just to be clear, I am terrifying.
Yes,
Oh.
no, Miss Bose is
Let's-
terrifying.
let's
we
be
we
clear.
agree on this.
I am a terrifying and imposing figure.
Exactly.
I think people should join just because it helps you realize how much you know. You may think that you know nothing, but then you go to a haiku game and you know half the questions.
Yeah, it's that you'll either feel smart because you can answer a question, or really dumb because you haven't answered a question for 5 questions in a row. But it's a good environment, and if you're just interested in knowing a bunch of cool facts about everything, you should join.
Alrighty, very good. Anything else before we sign off today?
Do you have any more stories you want to tell?
I'm all tapped out.
Alrighty. So, Leia and James, since you are seniors, I like to ask the seniors, and I know it's still early yet, but do you know what's next for the two of you?
I guess I'll go first. I'm pretty confident what I want to do. There's a really good program at Santa Fe, which is called the Zoological Technicians Program, and it's a 5-semester program where I learn how to be a zookeeper. And I really want to do that, and then transfer to their bachelor's program, which is Zoo and Aquarium Management.
Very cool.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I get into UF and major over there. I'm going to major in computer science for a bit, and then I think I'm going to do med school and become a doctor. So yeah.
Awesome. So best of luck to the two of you. That wraps up another episode of the Bose Knows. Thank you to James, Gavin, Audrey, Leia, and Mrs. Bose for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. Listeners, if you like the podcast, subscribe on your favorite podcast player of choice so you don't miss out on future episodes, and please share with your friends. Until next time, excellence in all endeavors.